In the future, when you finish your degree and go to work, you will start working at a company. Most likely, a company far from the stages in direct contact with consumption. Well, if you add up the amounts 20, 40, 60 and 80, you will see that the total is far greater than 100. In other words, the amount of human effort, or the number of workers and companies, and the amount of money exchanged in transactions between the stages prior to consumption far exceed the number of workers and companies and the amount of money exchanged in sales in the last stage, consumption. Well, of course, iron ore is extracted and then sold to the blast furnace, and the product is then sold to the next stage, and the next, and the next, and only at the end does consumption occur. It is important that, as economists, you visualize this. Generally, we have the idea that consumption matters most, and that it is the most important stage, and accounts for the largest part of income. This is utterly false. In modern economies, consumption accounts for no more than about 1/3 or 1/4 of all productive effort and all income spent. The vast majority of workers' productive effort and of income is involved in transactions in earlier stages, as this simplified outline of productive stages enables us to easily visualize. Note what is received by workers or owners of the original means of production. We add up the numbers in the little boxes at the top: 18 plus 16 plus 14 plus 12 plus 10. Workers receive a total of 70 units. Also, the capitalists of each stage obtain a profit, which we see in the boxes to the right. 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 10, a total of 30 units. The 70 units the workers receive and the 30 units of profit, or interest, the capitalists receive add up to 100 units of net income, which is precisely the amount spent on consumer goods. Do you see? So, when we talk about the concept of income, we must distinguish between gross and net income. In gross terms, the income which changes hands over the 5 years in the diachronic view, or in 1 year in the synchronic view, is equal to the sum of 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100, plus what is paid to the owners of the original means of production. The total is 370, and we will discuss it in a moment. That is the gross income, the amount that changes hands between all the intermediate stages up to the final stage. However, the income which reaches workers, other owners of the original means of production, and company owners, and which they spend on consumer goods, is called net income, and is equal to 100. Why is it called net income? Because it gives rise to consumer goods, and is spent on consumer goods. The transactions which take place between the different intermediate stages do not result in consumption, though they are part of gross income. We arrive at the gross monetary income for the period by totaling, in terms of monetary units, all the transactions from bottom to top which take place during that period. And in our example, that gross income amounts to 370 monetary units, of which 100 is spent on consumer goods. The other 270 is advanced to workers, owners of the original means of production, and suppliers of earlier stages, and is later recovered with a profit when the product is sold to the next stage during the same period. This is important. This triangular outline of the productive structure catches our attention and communicates an essential idea many economists have not understood well, not even Adam Smith, namely that the amount of money spent on production goods over any period of time far exceeds the amount of money spent over that same period on consumer goods and services. I want you to fully grasp this idea. I have already stated it, but I'm going to repeat it now. The amount of money spent acquiring factors of production between all the productive stages, for example, in the year 2009, far exceeded the amount of money spent on consumer goods. That is, the amount of money which, in the year 2009, in that business year, companies spent to buy iron ore, steel from blast furnaces, and factory robots to shape the steel, and the amount they paid the companies which put the cars together on an assembly line, the shippers that transported them, and the companies that developed the ad campaigns. All that was spent in all those intermediate stages far exceeded what was spent buying the cars sold in 2009. Our example makes that very clear. 100 is spent on consumer goods. In contrast, 270 is spent in the intermediate stages. Add up the numbers. Take care. This idea is essential. And, pari passu, at the same time, together, it is not only that the amount of money spent on productive factors in the intermediate stages far exceeds the amount spent on consumer goods. It is also that the entrepreneurial human effort workers put in is mainly concentrated in the stages of the productive factors distant from consumption. Only a small fraction of workers are devoted to the stage of consumption. Sales clerks at the Corte Inglés, for instance.